Hi there. It's been so long since I filmed a YouTube video, I feel a little bit out of practice, but I'm very excited to get back into it today. Also, Leon is here, so you might see him periodically if he decides to get up and walk around, and also my chair is loud. So that's exciting. So it's been a few months since I made a YouTube video for realsies, and it's also been like over a year since I actually took YouTube seriously. I want to get back into it pretty desperately at this point. So this video is me starting anew. Yep, this is me starting anew on YouTube. By the way, if this is your first time here and you're interested in seeing what I get up to, subscribe, like, hit the bell, all that stuff. So in the past, my YouTube channel has been primarily focused on LGBT topics, also some vlogging. I want to kind of transition that into LGBT and crafting. I do a lot of sewing in my personal life, and in the past I've done a lot of crocheting and knitting, and I also want to get into cross stitch and other types of crafts here in the near future. So you're gonna be seeing a lot of my handy dandy sewing machine. But while I do all this crafting stuff, I also don't want to lose the topic of LGBT in my videos. So this video, for example, is a pretty good first step into talking about LGBT news while also doing some crafting. Today, I want to sew a tunic dress. Not sure how long I'm gonna make it yet. Don't know if it's gonna be a tunic or a dress yet. It's the boho kimono dress from Sew in Love. There's going to be a link to it down in the description. I recently bought this gorgeous fabric that I absolutely love, and yeah, I wanna make something pretty with it. I have a lot of ideas for like fashion inspiration and stuff like that, and I want to kind of show an emphasis on the types of gender expression through clothing when you're a non-binary gender. So if you don't know, I'm agender. I'm exploring my feminine side here, which is not normal for me, even though you wouldn't guess that based on my current sweater and fabric choice. But I'm very excited for it. Anyway, my camera's about to die, so I'm gonna charge it, and while I charge it, I am going to make my pattern pieces. Okay, it's a couple of hours later, but I swear it's only 3:30 and it's already completely dark outside. Thank you, Germany. I planned all of the sizes for everything I'm gonna cut out, so I'm gonna start measuring that on the fabric now, and while I do, I'm gonna tell you about the first news topic, which I'm very excited about. So this first piece of news is not LGBT specific. However, I will say it's something that I wholeheartedly believe in and wish had been the case where I grew up, when I grew up, and wish that it was the case right now everywhere in the world. And that is that Scotland, you might have already heard this, and so me saying Scotland might have just been like a trigger, you know what I'm gonna say. Scotland recently made it so that period products, primarily tampons and pads, are available for free in public spaces now, which is very exciting. No cat will step on a rogue stapler today. So this decision to make period products free has been an ongoing effort for a couple of years now, and Scotland has been making more and more progress toward this over the past few years. The first steps for this was in 2018, and Scotland made it so that period products would be free in schools. And then in 2019, more progress was made to make sanitary products free in other places like libraries. Oh gosh. So the Scottish Parliament recently made it so that period products, tampons and pads primarily, are just free in public spaces now. So schools, universities, recreational centers, libraries, places like that, you can get period products now, and you don't have to pay for them, and that's brilliant. Oh, this is so pretty. According to some recent statistics in Scotland, up to 20% of people who get a period, the articles I said women, but I'm gonna say people who get a period, up to 20% of people who get a period are below the poverty line. So not having to spend money, and especially a lot of money, like how you usually have to do to get period products, is phenomenal. is really great news. It's brilliant. This is what life should be like for everybody. If you're a numbers person, you might be wondering how much this is going to cost the government in Scotland. The estimation right now is that it's going to cost somewhere around £8.7 million per year, depending on how many people actually use the free period products. Does this sound fun? I kind of like it. Trying to find an edge here. There's too much fabric. And something that I really like about this initiative is that it is entirely the responsibility of like the faculty at schools and people who are in charge of like the recreational centers. It's entirely their responsibility to make sure that these period products are available. So that's also really damn cool. I should also mention that this bill passed unanimously, which is really amazing. I feel like that doesn't often happen in governments, that bills are passed unanimously, and especially for something like period products, I'm genuinely surprised that that's the case. Usually there's some asshole somewhere who's like, no, we don't want to give people things that they just need to exist. So I'm beyond excited about this. Not that it's going to affect my life in any way whatsoever, but as a person who gets a period, this would have been brilliant. It's kind of just a nice thing to do, you know what I'm saying? Alrighty, I have all of the pieces. So that's great. I'm gonna start pinning them together, and I'm also gonna stop filming for tonight because it is so dark. As I say, tonight, it's currently 5 p.m. This is my only source of light because outside is completely pitch black. No sun. I do want to just finish up the little bit about the free period products in Scotland. Wow, brain doesn't work. The one final thing that I have to say about it is that there's no proof required. So you don't have to prove that you're in like poverty or anything like that. It's just you go to wherever, to this public place, say the library. You go to your library, you get the products that you need, and that's all. There's no questions, there's no proof required, nothing like that. So it's pretty great. It's a huge step forward for the whole world. And Scotland is being a wonderful example of what the whole world should do. I'm gonna get to pinning this, and then tomorrow I will show you what I have pinned, and we'll move on to our next story. So here's our next story. Ha! Hello! It's the next day. Leon says, good morning. Today we're gonna do a little bit more sewing. I worked on the dress a little bit more last night, and I ended up just constructing the majority of the top. I can now drape it over myself as such, and before I continued working on it any more than this, I wanted to give you another piece of news. This one's kind of fun. So the next topic that I want to cover while I prepare to hem the shoulders and also serge the shoulder seams is that a record number of LGBTQ plus people were elected in the US elections this time around here in 2020. So some of the sources that I saw said that about 5% of Americans identify as LGBTQ plus, but only 0.17 or something like that. The representatives are actually LGBT, which is a shockingly low percentage, wouldn't you say? So yeah, the exciting thing that happened is that a number of out LGBT people got elected, including trans people, non-binary people, gay people, everything across the spectrum. According to an article from theconversation.com, a record 46% more LGBT people ran for office this time around than they did in 2016, which is kind of baffling if you think about it, just how many more people that is. And this is a little bit of old news since the election happened a few weeks ago, earlier this month. But the funny thing that happened was recently on Twitter, Sarah McBride, one of the senators that got elected, who is trans, had some troll ask her I'm confused. Are you a boy or a girl? Which is just the best kind of question you can ask people. I've had that one asked to me a couple of times while we were living in Spain. It was super fun. And her response was quite simply, I'm a senator, which, well done, lady. Well done. I am too meticulous when I cut out my fabric. I really don't need to go into this much detail. Especially considering the new Supreme Court Justice that was appointed, Amy Coney Barrett. It's a good thing that more LGBT people are like in elected official positions, because we gotta protect our rights any way we can. And she is going to actively be working against them. So it's definitely a good thing to have as many people who could fight back against that as possible in other elected official positions. One of the states that elected an LGBT person was my home state, which is Hawaii. And voters of Hawaii, including myself, were able to upset a 14-year position held and actually get somebody in office that's LGBT, which is awesome. Also, I think it's the first time this has ever happened in Hawaii, which is kind of crazy considering Hawaii is such a blue state. But regardless, very happy. There are a ton of articles that you can read all about the election and who was elected and where they fall on the LGBT spectrum and everything that they're gonna do for their states and all of that. So I will link a couple of them down below, and if you want to give them a read, you definitely should. Fun, 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 fun. All right, I'm going to serge the edges of shoulders, and then I will work on the hem of the sleeves as well. See you in a second. We've got some beautiful little hems on the sleeves now and some wonderful serged tops of the sleeves. Now I'm going to just pin them together on the bottom where I marked previously to make sure that they are the same length, and that's going to be the end of the sleeves. And then I'll be done with the sleeves. The last bit of news that I have to talk about is something that I'm excited about, but something that I'm not sure how it's going to actually like impact my life. And that was an announcement that came out DC, like the DC superhero universe recently, which was that they are adding a non-binary character to their new character roster. Is that what they're called? In DC's Merry Multiverse, which is going to debut next month, they have a character who is non-binary called Kid Quick. This is exciting for me because they're like the new rendition of The Flash, and The Flash is my favorite DC superhero, so I'm like pretty stoked. Man, it is hard to do two things at the same time. I've got to get better at this. These sleeves do not line up. Blah. It's gonna make this difficult to sew. So Kid Quick's name is Jess Chambers. Their aunt is Jessie Quick, who is Earth's 11th version of The Flash. I'm sure if you know things about DC, you'll either already know about this or you'll know what I'm trying to talk about as I talk about all of it. I'm sure you'll pick up on what I'm saying. I'm sure of it. Ow! Oh, I just scratched myself with a pin. Oof. Good thing I have cats, I'm used to it. What I love the most, besides the fact that they just have a non-binary character now, is that the writer, the person who wrote Kid Quick has made it very clear that them being non-binary is not a major plot point in the upcoming miniseries. It's just the reality of this situation. You know, it's almost like when you start treating LGBT people as real people, they're just real people, and like their LGBT-ness doesn't have everything to do with their character. Like, it seems to be in a lot of straight media where gay people's identities are their only identities, the only aspect of their identities, and everything revolves around them being queer. I love that. So what inspired the writer, whose name is Ivan Cohen? Yeah. To write this was that in the DC superhero universe, there already exists Kid Flash. And Ivan Cohen was thinking about how kid is a pretty non-gendered term and how they could really be any gender or no gender at all. And one of the quotes I absolutely love from Ivan Cohen is, "There are all these choices we can make. Why don't we do something besides what we would have made up if it was 1965? So to me, that really shows that Ivan Cohen is just like actually aware of people's identities and of what's happening in the world right now with people starting to understand gender and being able to express their gender in non-conventional ways, even though, being non-binary or gender fluid is a thing and has been for thousands of years. Super fun. But I'm just so excited by the existence of this character, and it makes me so happy to see a non-binary character in mainstream media. Comic books. That counts, right? I don't read comics, but I think it still counts. It's mainstream media. It's DC, it counts. I'm going to read an excerpt from NBC News' article about this. The character was actually intended as a one-off, but when DC editors saw artist Eleonora Carlini's character designs, there was a flurry of interest in using them beyond the holiday special. DC's Future State event spans several miniseries, one-shots, and anthologies, with all new characters taking on the mantles of Superman, Batman, Green Lantern, and other famous crime fighters. A grown-up Jess Chambers, that's Kid Quick, debuts as the new Flash in the 2-issue Future State Justice League comic book, starting January 12th. How they made the leap from Earth 11 to the future of the mainstream DC universe remains to be seen. I love this. Also, I'm sure I put up some pictures already, but if not, here's one. Kid Quick, not only being non-binary, is also a person of color. It's brilliant. I love the representation of non-binary and trans folks being people of color, because they're like the most marginalized community, and that's completely fucked up. So it's wonderful to have more representation out there. I just very happy. Thank you, DC. I just put in these buttonholes and I thought I was filming myself, but I wasn't. Yay! It now exists in raw bolero form. I kind of like it. All right, time to start on the skirt. Fun fact, this is a thing cats do called mirroring. That's like why they also sit on your laptop when you're working. She wants to do what I'm doing, so she's laying on my fabric. It means we're bonded. Aren't we? Aren't we? Get some cat ASMR. So there you have it. This is the dress that I made. I really like how it turned out. It fits perfectly. I really like it. I hope you liked watching this video, getting some LGBT plus news and also just some cool world news while also watching me sew. I hope it was relaxing and informative. Alrighty. Thank you so much for watching. If you haven't subscribed yet, please do so, and also leave a like on this video if you enjoyed it, and leave me a comment down below telling me what your most recent creative project is. See you on the internet. Tschüssi!